I am here with the first presidential debate between Jackson Klingenberg and Marvin Valson. So we're going to be kicking things off here with a brief 2-minute speech from each candidate, talking about their campaign, their goals, how they're going to achieve those goals, and why they're running for class president in the first place. It's an uninterrupted speech, opening monologue for each candidate. So we're going to be starting off with Marvin. He elected to be the first one to go. And so, Marvin, take it away. 2 minutes.
All right. Students of Manchester Valley, it's me, Marvin Valson. I wanted to say that I'm happy to be running for this campaign because I am here to make this change happen. Because I've been focused making this change since I was a freshman. Ever since my freshman year, I wanted to make this change happen. And this year, I want to make this thing like a good senior year for everyone to have a good year for this year.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. So now on to Jackson.
Okay, so I'm Jackson Klingenberg. I'm running to be your class president for a 4th term. I'm by far the most qualified candidate out there, being a 3-term class president already. I know what it takes, I know what's got to happen, and I don't throw out vague statements like I want to make a change. I say what I'm going to do, and then I go out and do it. Said I was going to do a yard sale, went out and did it. Said I was going to do a bingo, went out and did it. When I say I'm going to do something, I go out and do it.
All right, sounds good. So now get into the actual debate here. Got a few student questions that people wrote in. Let's see. So the first one comes from our very own Logan Ziegenfuss, we all know and love. And he just asked, where should our prom be and why? So whoever wants to take it away.
Well, actually, our prom's already scheduled and the location has already been secured. We did that last year. It's at the Hunt Valley Hotel down there. It's in Hunt Valley. It's a great location, has the capacity for everyone who wants to go. And because they charge per person, it allows us to keep ticket prices relatively low. So our prom's already set. We already put the down payment, so prom's already set and ready to go.
It's good to hear. I didn't know that. All right, so I guess on to the next question. Another student asked, they wanted to remain anonymous, but they said, what is the biggest issue facing our school currently?
Well, I'll start. I'm thinking what's the biggest thing we're facing in our school is basically hybrid and virtually, because some students are having problems with being virtual at home, because some students they want to be out there with their friends, but the thing is, with now that hybrid starting next week, everyone is going to be split into different sections to different cohorts, and people maybe not have enough time to spend time with their friends. So I think that's the biggest issue.
Okay.
I would just say the culture of Manval kind of sucks. There's a lot of tension between a lot of different people, and I would say that's probably the biggest issue facing Manval is our lack of unity. The only time our class is ever unified around one goal is Spirit Week. So we get 1 week out of the year to be unified. I think that's the biggest issue facing us.
All right, nice. Another student question here. So it says, another person that wanted to remain anonymous, which is fine. They said, if you're elected, what would be the first priority that you would address?
Well, first thing I would address is I'll try to eliminate something very different, like, for example, cow pie bingo. I mean, we've been doing it for several times now. I mean, let's be honest here. Let's try something a little different, okay? Like, let's say, for example, a senior car wash, maybe a senior bake sale. I've been thinking about these things because I've been thinking about this thing. Cowboy bingo is fun and all, but let's try something new for the seniors I would enjoy, like maybe a car wash, or maybe a movie theater, like a movie theater setting, like while they're watching a movie outside next to the football field. Maybe I can think about doing that instead of something other than maybe a bingo. We can do something maybe more fun and energetic for the students to see what they like. I'm thinking more of a democracy term.
Well, the first thing I would do is check the class bank account. So clearly our funds and our fundraisers have done exactly what they're supposed to do. We have more than enough money for all the activities for senior year, limiting costs of those individual events, which of course they will all have tickets and prices. And I'm not even sure we're going to need to fundraise this year because we already have enough money through other fundraisers in previous years to supply any money we need for the future. So first thing I would do is just check the class bank account and show that off.
Okay. All right, so final student question here. This person said, what about your campaign and goals set you apart from your candidate? And what is your opposing candidate's weaknesses that you believe is a strength for you and how you will.
Well, I'll start here. He has no idea what he's doing. So fundraisers, and many of these fundraisers, in order to make them truly successful, for more than just $200, have to be advertised very well, and there's a lot of setup and organization around them. You don't just make a bake sale happen. You're going to have to get people to make every single item. You're going to have to advertise it so people know when it's going on, and then you're going to have to be able to sell each individual item enough to the point where you are going to make the money. And so a senior bake sale and a senior car wash are never going to make enough money to be worthwhile the effort you're going to have to spend to get volunteers, to get it advertised, and to secure a location to hold these events. In order to create a successful fundraiser, you must have all these things, and I don't think the opposition knows how to make these things happen.
Care to chime in,
Well,
Marv?
first of all, let me say something, okay? You do have a good point there, but I know that but I do know what I'm trying to do here, because maybe some students, we've been seeing you run president for like 3 years, okay? Now it's up for a time for a new change, because this change will happen, because I'm gonna try to make sure maybe more students will be more open with each other. Maybe I can have like more diverse, more like a unity kind of group. I understand that Spirit Week is the only time we get along together. I want that other times, like not beyond Spirit Week, like for example, having like some people to be more diverse with one another, like saying, if I want to meet someone who's like saying from a different background, different cultures, I want to learn about that. Maybe during advisory, I can teach students. We can all teach, like teachers can teach students about being diverse and open with one another instead of saying that if I don't know what I'm doing, I know what I'm trying to do as a class president for this year.
So,
May I make a counterpoint to that first? In terms of advisory, we already have lessons about these kind of things. We've had assemblies in the past, and they're not usually run by the classes. That's not the job of the class board. The Black Student Union and groups like those have done a great job in the past of creating these unifying events in order to try to expand people's understanding of other cultures and backgrounds. And that's not the place of the class board. That's not what we're trying to do here. Our job is to make sure we secure funds for prom, for events like that, and for the future, for reunions, and be able to hold reunions in the future. So I think, and you keep speaking about this change that you want to make happen. I have no idea how you're going to make this change happen, and you just keep saying make a change. I want to know what change and how you're going to make said change happen.
rebuttal, Marv?
Right, so.
Well, to answer what the student asked, they said, what is a weakness that you believe is in your opponent candidate's campaign that you believe you could take advantage of? So if you have anything to say about that, like what is something you believe Klingenberg lacks that, you could address in your campaign and take advantage of?
Not at this time.
Not this time?
Not yet.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
I'll talk about my own strengths.
Okay.
I have the experience. I have every qualification you need to be the class president. I've done it for 3 straight years. I've listened to you guys. I've made stuff happen, and Marvin's done nothing.
That's because I never. Number one, let me say something. Even though I've never been class president before, but the thing is, I have some sort of experience because I know a little bit things about. I tried doing for the student council before. I tried running for class president before. I may have some good ideas as president for this year as my president, as for the presidency. As far as I know, thinking that I will make a change, I will make that change happen. For example, I'll try to make different possibilities for students, maybe to get along with one another instead of having problems. For example, communication. Students should be more open with one another instead of maybe students being so close and open, so close with one another. Maybe you can maybe get them involved one day. For example, freshmen, the upcoming freshmen this year, for the upcoming freshmen coming up next year.
What do the freshmen have anything to do with the class of 2021? You're running to be the president of the class of 2021, not the school. You're not running for SGA president. Your job is to take care of the people in the class of 2021. You should not be worried about the incoming freshmen.
No, that's.
Okay, so that does it for the student questions. If there's any other topics that you guys would like to address to the other and talk about,
I still want Marvin to tell me what change this is.
Yeah, so
he said,
go ahead at it.
Be more open. How in the world do you plan on making that happen?
First of all, I'm trying to get more students maybe involved in more clubs. If they want to get involved in more clubs and activities, maybe they can. If they want to make their own clubs, they can make their own clubs, make more activities for them. Because when I was in Wild Lake, I had the opportunity to make my own club but had to have a teacher advisor running it. I also want to do the exact same thing for students so they can make their own clubs. If they don't want to join other clubs, they can. If they want to make their own club, they can have a teacher, a monitor teacher to have that.
Every single student already has the opportunity to do that. You need 10 student signatures and a teacher advisor, and then you can start your own club. That's all it takes. You get it approved by the principal, and then you have your own club. That's all it takes if a student wants to make their own club. Maybe we need to make that more known. Advertise that. You could say that. But the idea of just make a club and just have everyone making a club is ridiculous, especially when they already have the opportunity to do so.
Rebuttal? Okay, any other topics? You can take a time to think about it. You know, I can always cut this out.
I mean, I'd love to know how Marvin plans to make this bake sale or car wash successful in terms of profit.
I'll get to that. The thing is, I'm thinking about this idea because I will check with the treasury board to make sure how much money do we have enough money to make sure that we have enough money to be able to do this. Number one, if we have enough volunteers, we can have some good seniors to help them get the service house. Because some students are still behind on service house because some students might be trying to get up to 75. So I'm thinking that maybe if we get more students involved with maybe the student council, we can be able to help them with that.
I think that's a very reasonable proposal. However, I would just like to make the argument about how do you plan on doing this? Because when I ran the yard sale, when I ran the bingo, I had to hammer kids time and time again, ask them if they're coming, make sure they're good for that time, make sure they were good for that day, and constantly get on kids to make sure they showed up. How do you plan on doing that?
I'll try to talk to them maybe I'll talk to them personally to see if they're willing to contribute or volunteer to do it. So I'm personally thinking that my idea is that, for example, if they're willing to do it, I'll talk to them and their parents to see if they're willing to contribute maybe on different days that they're free or available, so that they can be able to contribute to help the students. So they can, for example, they can help them with the service hours. Say, for example, a student class 55 want to get up to 75, they can be able to contribute as maybe, for example, find someone to talk to, like maybe talk to a vice president about it, or maybe talk to their student advisor to get my attention or your attention about this idea.
I'm good on that.
Yeah. I mean, any other? Do you have maybe any topics you would like to ask Klingenberg? He's brought up all the topics so far.
Let me ask you something. If you're gonna say, for example, if you do win as class president for your 4th term, what is your plan as class presidents? What is your plan?
To ensure everything goes smoothly for our senior year and give kids as enjoyable a senior year as possible, given the unfortunate circumstances surrounding our senior years.
Let me ask you, when you said that, be more specific. Like, what's your plan? Like, do you plan to have more fundraisers, more ideas with the students?
Fundraising is not a big thing for this year, in my opinion. I think maybe we run 1 or 2 small fundraisers, but I don't think they're very necessary given our current class funds. And more importantly, I'm going to fight like hell for prom and to make sure we have as many of those senior class events as we can in the spring.
Name one, for example. Because if you
Prom, senior cruise, crab feast, try to make all those things happen.
All right.
I do gotta ask, do you think we will have like a spirit week, even if it is later in the school year? Like still have the pep rally, all that?
That's more of an SGA thing, but I would love to. Pep rally, probably not, but we might be able to have a pseudo spirit week if we're going back to school. Preferably, probably in the spring is when it would happen now, or maybe it'll happen if tonight at the board meeting they're deciding when fall sports are going to happen. So potentially earlier, if they decide to start sports earlier around the homecoming football game, I would say there's still the potential for it.
Yeah, because I know a lot of kids in our class are still wanting to have the pep rally so you can win that saddle,
Pep rally is going to be a tough saddle.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, but I just wanted to hear what,
I'd love to make it happen. We all know I am nuts about pep rally and spirit week, so if we can in any way, shape, or form, maybe if we even have to move it outside in the spring, so we can try to do some form of social distancing, but it's going to be tough.
Anything to talk about, Marv? Any topics? That's all you got? Well, I mean, I mean, I'm good with questions. I pretty much asked everything. So if that's going to wrap up the first debate, then
I'll say this: vote for me.
Let me
That's
ask-
simple.
No. No, let me ask you something, okay? I made a good point before, or in a few videos before. I've always been a long time ago when I was younger. I've always asked myself if we can make one good solid change with that one student change. I'm gonna make that student change one day and it's gonna happen. I'm thinking of having like student tutors because
Student tutors are already taken care of by NHS. SGA the Student Government Association is an entirely separate organization from the class board, and all three are very separate organizations that don't really work together due to restrictions around, because fundraising is important for the class board, whereas the SGA typically raises their money aside from homecoming for a charity. So it's very hard to get those organizations to work together.
Let me ask you one good question. Do you ever heard of this thing called mental check? Let me ask you this, because number one, I was thinking that for an idea for a student because number one, I know how the students feel about like maybe taking online classes. It's stressful. We all feel the same thing. I'm thinking that honestly for us as seniors, if they want to feel like they're going to feel at least at ease and feel calm before they go into first mod, I was thinking that maybe for students they can have like a separate time to unwind, relax, and maybe have someone to do like a mental check to see how they're feeling. When I had a Zoom meeting at my church, when I found out that an actor passed away, we all did a mental check to see that so we can see that we're okay, to make sure that no one's feeling let down, because we have some people to talk to.
all right.
So when's the debate with John Allen?
So, no date has been confirmed yet, but that's gonna do it. First debate down and dusted. On to the next one. Who knows when it will be?